I would just like to make a quick correction from the last podcast. I said Scott Priebus when I meant Reince Priebus. I don't know how to say his name. Reince Priebus. That is Trump's chief of staff. Just a little mix up here. But yeah, we'll just refer to him as Priebus. Okay. Hi, I'm Maggie now. Welcome back to episode 17, maybe 18 of the RIP, Reading is Phenomenal, AP Lit podcast. Right now, we're actually going to get into something, the beginning of something a little positive. And Comey had actually a positive, optimistic-looking follow-up meeting to Trump's and Comey's dinner date with Priebus. Comey describes Priebus as a somewhat always annoyed or irritated person, and he kind of understood why, trying to control the chaotic Trump White House. Any White House was really difficult to control, and especially Priebus never having any management experience. This is definitely something new, and Comey thought that actually Priebus might listen to him, and Priebus seemed to want to learn from Comey and understand how the dynamics of all the different agencies work together with the White House. And so Comey actually had a pretty great 20-minute conversation with Priebus about how the FBI and the White House always have to be at an arm's length. Comey thought that, Priebus was understanding and that he was actually digesting this. But then Priebus asked Comey if he wanted to meet with Trump, which is the exact opposite of what Comey was saying, that he couldn't have this relationship with Trump. So Comey declined, but Priebus asked again, and he basically kind of forced this meeting upon Comey. And again, so they had the meeting, and again, every time Trump kind of enters the room, Comey immediately just analyzes whatever he's doing. And it just began with a one-sided conversation Comey was having with Trump. Well, Trump was just speaking at Comey, and Trump was talking about Bill O'Reilly on Fox News. And Bill had, wow, what a guy, had asked the president if he respected Vladimir Putin, and Trump said, I do respect him, but I respect a lot of people. It doesn't mean I'm going to get along with him. And Comey responded, but he's a killer. And which is true. And Putin is an awful, awful person and leader. He's a smart guy, but he's also an authoritarian ruler, and he's a murderer, and he's an enemy of the United States. And there's really not a lot of reason to respect him. But Trump's response to Comey was actually something I didn't expect from him. Trump's replied, there's a lot of killers. We've got a lot of killers. You think our country is so innocent? And so Comey was obviously angered at this comment, comparing the ruthless regime of an oligarch to American democracy. And while I disagree with the idea that saying that just because there's a lot of killers in America makes it okay to respect a really powerful one in Russia, I don't think that really makes sense. But Trump's point in saying America isn't that innocent is true. I mean, we've caused wars for economic gain. People would argue that we entered the Iraq war for oil. I mean, there's different reasons too, but that's an argument. And also, just in general, people would say we enter war to increase production of wartime weapons and materials, to increase the economy. And so, kind of just saying America, as much as we like to call ourselves the beacon of justice, a beacon of light for justice or whatever in the world, it's not always what it's made out to be. There's a reason people in some other countries kind of despise us, because we go into countries and we bomb them, and we tear up so many livelihoods, like countries in Syria or Iraq or Pakistan or Afghanistan. And obviously arguments can be made for war. And I don't know if Trump was actually talking about the wars we've been involved in, because he does want to increase our military spending. And I find it a bit odd for him to almost criticize the military while also advocating for increasing its spending. He could also just be talking about American citizens who are murderers. Either way, this is kind of one of the few times I'm actually kind of agreeing with him on a problem that our country does face, and that we are facing kind of sometimes this blind patriotism, that we have to look at ourselves and say, wow, we have actually while we are trying to spread democracy and be like hopefully the best we can be, we do see our own biases or power kind of like get in the way of that. And what I don't necessarily like about his criticism is that it comes out in defense of Russia. I don't think he should really be throwing America under the bus for Russia, a country that's pretty awful to its citizens in other countries. He does this kind of all the time, too. He compliments Russia, saying Putin is a great, strong leader. And even though we have seen sanctions placed upon Russia, the amount of what Comey actually does kind of continue to focus on is the amount of positive interactions between the Trump administration and Russia are a little worrying. And that's why Comey did continue to pursue that investigation into Trump. But you don't really need to hear that from me. You can turn on CNN anytime and it'll be talking about Trump and Russia. But yeah, the remaining part of the book really does deal with along the lines of this discussion about Russia and Comey's involvement with the investigation. And so thank you for listening. Okay, that's enough for today's podcast. Woo!